Happy Monday. Welcome. Welcome. Welcome to today's video. And I am Julie with Balance Life with Julie. I'm a regenerative health practitioner and holistic nutritionist. And in today's video, I'm going to be covering food combining. This topic has come by request from a few people. So I'm going to dive in. And for those of you that have never heard of what regenerative health is and you're a little bit confused about what exactly I do, regenerative health addresses the root causes of chronic illness within the body, really focusing on what glands, organs, tissues are out of balance and using holistic methods to help restore balance within the body. So today, I wanted to talk about food combining because I think most people don't know how to do this properly. And it can create a lot of issues within the body. So, if I were to take the standard Western diet, which is usually bacon, eggs, toast in the morning, coffee, and bread, this is literally the worst combination of foods that you could be putting into your body. And the reason is that not everything digests and breaks down at the same rate. The other thing is most people have a lot of things in their diet that are incredibly unnatural for the human body. And so it makes it even more challenging for your body to break down. So if I look at like a typical Western breakfast where it's eggs, bacon, toast, what else? Coffee, maybe muffin, something like that. And then there's maybe a tiny bit of fruit at the end. The reason that this is such a terrible combination is that everything in that breakfast digests and breaks down at completely different rates. So fruit breaks down the fastest. It is actually the simplest, easiest thing for our body to break down. The other thing I would like you to also consider and to think about is that we really make things incredibly complicated for our body, but our body is actually simple. It likes things. If we could find ways to make food simpler, you're actually going to win. you're going to win in terms of your health. So when we're putting like complex starches and complex proteins, grains, all in the same diet, in the same meal, we're actually making things incredibly complicated. When we make things easier, for example, like let's say I get up in the morning and all I have is a bowl of berries. Great. That is one of the easiest, simplest things for my body to break down. So fruit breaks down the fastest. We have enzymes in our mouth that actually break down fruit. I think a lot of people don't realize, but as a species, we're actually most closely related to frugivores. So our diet is supposed to be primarily fruit-based. Most people do not know that. Some people are really confused and they think that human beings are carnivores. And from a structural standpoint, our digestive system is completely different from that of a carnivore. So a true carnivore has a very short GI system, very short digestive tract, like less than 3 feet. And the reason for that is that it wants to get that whatever is not utilized by its body out of the body as quickly as possible. Otherwise, if there's all that animal flesh kicking around in the digestive system, it can start to putrefy. And when that happens, we start to attract pathogens and parasites. So fruit is the fastest to digest. Next up would be non-starchy vegetables. Non-starchy vegetables can take 2 to 4 hours to break down and digest, depending on what it is that you're having. When we get into the more starchy vegetables, it might take a little bit longer, like 4 to 5 hours. And when you get into grains, we're talking about 6 hours, maybe 7 hours, depending on the grain. This is why personally, I'm a big fan of sprouted grains. I think if you can sprout your beans and lentils and grains, you're going to have a much better time for digestion. And the thing that takes the longest to break down in the body are things like, well, cheese. Cheese and dairy products take a long time. They're also really, really mucus forming in the body. So even if someone can tolerate dairy, it doesn't matter. It's still really, really mucus forming within the body. So we have to look at, if you're open to it, I would really, really suggest looking at food as energy and as information. And what our body needs from our food is, yes, we need some macronutrients, but we also need micronutrients and we need living enzymes. So the way that most people do food now, where they cook everything, they actually cook out all the nutrients and the enzymes. And that's why so many people are hungry and they're eating all day long and they're constantly thinking about food. When you start putting living foods into your body that has enzymes, number one, you're going to be far more satiated, so you're not going to feel as hungry. And number two, you're going to have a lot more energy. So the thing that is the hardest for your body to break down is animal products. It can take days, and I'm not even kidding about that. So if I have an apple, I know within an hour of me eating an apple, my body has broken it down and absorbed it into my system completely. If I have a piece of chicken, I know it's going to sit in my small intestine for at least 17 hours. So animal products can take anywhere from 24 to 72 hours to break down fully and completely in your GI system. And a lot of it is actually going to end up being waste. So if you can start to simplify your life and simplify the different types of foods that you have in a meal, you're going to make things a lot easier. So never, ever, 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 and I don't care who it is that's putting this information out there. I see, like, sometimes some of the stuff I see on social media, I'm like, oh my God, I would never combine my food that way. So I'll see people that are combining grains with fruit, with veggies, with complex carbs. I'm like, I wouldn't do that if I were you. And so it's no wonder that sometimes people will get up from a meal and they feel all gassy and bloated and uncomfortable. It's because they're actually making things hard on the body, really, really hard. So never, ever combine fruits with anything. Fruits are best the best way to have fruits is on their own, always, because they digest the fastest. There's nothing that even comes close to how quickly fruit digests. So I would suggest, and the melons digest the fastest. Out of all the fruits, melons digest the fastest. So you can combine like acid and subacid fruits. Certain fruits I would never combine with another fruit. So you never combine melons with any other fruit. Melons, the saying with melons is you have them alone or you leave them alone. So that's the first thing. And then when it comes to, like, let's say you're making a big salad, right? Have all these different non-starchy vegetables in there, but if you can get in things like sprouts and sprouted lentils and beans, that's probably the way to go. That salad's going to break down, like with the sprouted lentils and beans, it'll break down with the non-starchy vegetables roughly the same amount of time. But you want to make sure that you're not combining things in such a way that it's taking days and days for your body to break stuff down. So if you're having like chicken with non-starchy vegetables, the veggies break down in 3 to 4 hours. The chicken doesn't break down for 24 to 72 hours, right? So what does that tell you? The other thing I want to break down is the protein myth. A lot of people consume animal products because they've been told their entire life that they need to eat animal products in order to get protein. Your body does not need protein. Your body needs essential amino acids from the foods that you're eating. And guess what? All plant foods have essential amino acids. An apple has all the essential amino acids your body needs. So does grapes. So does spinach. The other conversation that I feel is really, really missing in the food space and the health space is looking at what type of soil foods are grown in, what are the chemicals, the herbicides, the pesticides that are used in growing of certain foods, and what are the transport times. All of this really matters because let's say I grow some spinach and I pick that spinach. When I pick the spinach, when I get it out of the ground, it has 100% of its vitamin C content. Now, if I bag that spinach and ship it across country, by the time it gets to the supermarket, it will have close to none of the vitamin C content. So I am a big, big firm believer that you need to really start asking more questions about where your food is coming from, what is sprayed on it. So it goes beyond like, yes, get your food combining done properly for sure. But then also look at like, are the foods that you're buying, do they actually have any enzymes and nutrients in them? Because if they don't, you're just wasting your money. So I personally, like in the summertime, I grow some of my own food. I've used a superfoods line now for it's going on 6 years soon. And the reason that I utilize the superfoods is they actually have more micronutrients and living enzymes than, excuse me, than anything that I can buy in a grocery store. And so that's why I prefer to utilize them. They're more convenient, they're easy, they're simple. I get them shipped right to my door. And they have no additives, no preservatives, no chemicals, no pesticides, no GMOs. So those are like the deeper questions we want to be asking about our food is how is it sourced? Where is it coming from? And think about this really important question. Do you see any other animal in nature cook its food? Do you see that? Do you see lions cooking food? Do you see chimpanzees cooking their food? Do you see cats cooking their food? Do you see any animal in nature cooking its food? And the answer is no. Humans are the only species that cook their food. And in the process of cooking that food, what we actually do is we cook out all the nutrients and the enzymes. And so that's why so many people I don't know. I got something weird in my throat today. That's why so many people are missing enzymes and nutrients. There was a book that I read a couple years ago, written by a gastroenterologist, and his theory in his 40 years of clinical practice is that we're born with only so many enzymes. He calls them source enzymes. We're born with so many source enzymes, and so the way that Mother Nature has designed food is that when we're eating foods that are putting foods in our body that have the enzymes intact, meaning we haven't cooked out the enzymes, there are the living enzymes and everything that is needed within that food to help facilitate breaking down that food within our body. But if we cook it and we destroy the enzymes and the nutrients, now our body actually needs to pull on its own enzymes in order to break down that food. And depending on what it is that you're having, like for example, we're around the holiday time and a lot of people tend to overindulge in sugary treats. Well, certain things that you're putting in your body actually has to pull on its own nutrient stores in order to break down that food item that you're having. So it is really important to ask some deeper questions, not only in terms of where food is coming from, but really understanding how food works within our body. I say this to my clients all the time. Food is energy and information. It is information to your cells. It is energy for your cells. However, if you're food combining in such a way, or you're eating foods that are completely unnatural to the human body, and it takes your body days and days and days to break it down, in fact, you're not going to be able to get any energy from it or minimal nutrients. So it's like burning dirty fuel, right? So if you're doing that, then no wonder you feel tired, no wonder you feel exhausted, and no wonder your body is inflamed. When you start to consume things that we're supposed to be consuming, and especially if you get really wise about where you're sourcing things from, then guess what? You start to have more energy, more vitality. It takes less for your body to break things down. I mean, I proved this to myself earlier this year, because I did 111 days where I think I was doing 1 cold pressed juices a day, and I was doing 2 superfood shakes a day. I was not eating any solid food whatsoever, but I was getting all of these nutrients into my body. And guess what? I mean, I have a lot of energy as it is, but I had even more energy, more vitality. And what I proved to myself is that all that matters is that I'm getting nutrients and living enzymes into my body. And as long as I'm doing that, my body can function and do what it needs to do. I was still exercising, I was still seeing clients. I was doing all my normal stuff, maybe even more so, because I had some trips in the middle of that 111 days, but I felt absolutely amazing. And it just goes to show that it really is about the quality of nutrition coming into the body and making sure that you're doing proper combinations. Now, in my day-to-day, if I'm having fruit, I'm having fruit. If I'm having a salad, I'm having a salad or a wrap. And most of my diet tends to consist of superfoods, because they're more micronutrient dense and they have more living enzymes. So I'm about efficiency. So in my opinion, I can get more nutrients into my body using superfoods. So why wouldn't I do that? Plus it's easier and more cost effective and more efficient in terms of time. And so if anything, most of my diet tends to consist of superfoods. I supplement a little bit with fruit and whole foods, in terms of wraps and salads and things like that. But I think when I say salad, some people think oh, iceberg lettuce. And that's not the case at all. When I'm talking about a salad, I'm talking about things like spiralized zucchini and cucumbers and beets and carrots and sprouts and sprouted lentils, and it's like a whole meal unto itself. But the more you can simplify and stick to certain food groups when you're eating, and not give your body all of this stuff to break down all at once, you are going to feel a difference in how you feel. You're going to probably have more energy and more vitality, and you're not going to have any gut issues, or you're going to be able to reduce gut issues. I mean, I don't want to say you're not going to have any gut issues, because it kind of depends on what's going on with the gut. But if you simplify, you are going to feel the difference. So if make one change, here's the one change I suggest. When you get up in the morning, have some fruit for breakfast. So it can be different kinds of apples. You can do a couple of different varieties of pears or something like that. Just do that. Just have some fruit for breakfast and notice how different you feel. And the thing about plant foods, they're not as calorically dense as animal products or dairy. So you can have more. you can definitely have more. The other thing is, I actually don't even really like talking about calories or macros, because to me, that's not what the body is looking for. The body is looking for micronutrients. It's looking for enzymes. It's looking for energy. And so I'm more focused on making sure that I'm putting quality nutrients into my body, living enzymes into my body, things that I know are loaded with lots and lots of nutrients. So I know if I'm doing that, then I'm on the right track. And I'm just really, really mindful of like not having fats with fruit. So if I feel like having nuts, I have to make sure that I'm having my nuts totally different at a different time than when I'm having fruit. Um, hope, hopefully that clears things up in terms of food combining. There are certain things that I do not consider foods. So I don't consider fast food or processed foods to be even food, or soda pop. I don't consider any of those things to be food. They're not things that I ever consume. I'm never tempted to have them. And I come as someone who used to go to a fast food restaurant. Like when I was in my college years, I used to go to a fast food restaurant every single day of the week. I no longer consume any of those things ever because I know that they're non-foods. And if I put that stuff in my body, it's going to really mess with my system. And why would I disrespect my body that way? To me, also taking care of your body and putting quality nutrition that is meant for us as a species into our body, to me that really is an act of self-love and self-respect. You know, when you love yourself, you don't harm yourself through what you're putting in, whether it's alcohol, drugs, foods. And I think food is probably one of the most socially accepted thing that people use to harm themselves, because most people don't understand how food works in the body, and then everybody around them is eating junk, and so they think they don't want to, like, be difficult, they don't want to stick out, they don't want to be made fun of, and so they'll compromise themselves and consume certain things, even knowing that it's not good for them. Or maybe they just don't know. Because I can tell you, when I used to eat fast food and processed foods, I just honestly didn't know what that stuff did in my body. So I had no idea. And I was really doing myself a huge disservice. So now that I understand how different things impact the body and what it does in terms of digestion and how long certain things take to break down, I just don't consume certain things that I know aren't food. And then I just focus on the things that I know are the most micronutrient dense. So for me, that's superfoods. Fruits are the other thing that are really, really loaded in energy and in living enzymes that our body needs. And so I tend to be very heavy on the superfoods and do fruit and do some veggies, but not as much as I do of the other stuff. Very, very soon, later this week, I'm going to be making a special announcement with my monthly membership, Elevate. So make sure that you stay tuned to all of my different social media. Check the caption below this video if you're catching the replay, because I do have some freebies you can check out. Make sure that you're on my email list so you get information about the monthly membership when that information drops, because it's a very, very cool thing that I'm doing to close out the year and start out 2025. I hope that this clears up any confusion in terms of food combining. If you do have specific questions, please drop them into the comment section below this video. I'm more than happy to answer or even do another video if needed. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being a part of my, social media world. And I appreciate you. I hope you have a beautiful day, and I will see you on next week's live. Bye for now.